Welcome in. It's a Tuesday. We're live from Social Taco here in Homewood. Landrum Roberts, Pat Smith, Conrad Van Order back from what looks to be a successful move with he and his wife, Paige. We'll get to him on that in just a little bit. Molly Robinson anchoring the things from the studio of Jocks. It's Taco Tuesday here at Social Taco. The mayor, Don. We have Stan already here, Pat, and the door's going to be opening at 11 o'clock for all of those beautiful tacos and great things that they offer here at Social Taco.
Yeah, it should be another great day here at Social Taco. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to come by and see us. As Landrum mentioned, we are here until 2 o'clock. Doors officially open at 11, but the Taco Terrace is always open for you to come up and get a great seat for lunch here at Social Taco. A little bit of breaking news this morning out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Yesterday, we spent most of the show yesterday discussing Charles Bediako. He is appealing to the Alabama Supreme Court in regards to the injunction that he did not get from Judge Pruitt. So his attorneys go to Judge Pruitt and ask for a temporary restraining order in which it would allow Charles Bediako to play basketball. Well, this morning, Daniel Pruitt said, no, you're going 0 for 2 in my courtroom. It's not going to happen. He was denied the temporary restraining order, which means now his appeal to the Alabama Supreme Court is still there, but he will not be able to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide unless the Alabama Supreme Court hears his case and they rule in his favor.
Yeah, and this goes back to a theory that you threw out, and ultimately if his lawyer and his legal team, they want to take it up with the NCAA with a big old lawsuit when it all comes to rest, then they can do that. Now they've exhausted all of their means as far as the legal system, and they can put that on paper and then take it.
Yeah, they can show
they want.
Show millions of dollars of so-called damages because this lawsuit is against the NCAA already.
Right.
But I'm thinking about a larger situation that he could go after them. But I was listening to Damian and Conrad this morning on the morning show, and it seemed like it carried over from our show yesterday because 81 to 82% of our audience voted and said that they just want Charles Bediako, this thing, to go away, that they're done, and that's kind of what you guys were talking about this morning.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am, and I understand that, maybe from a depth standpoint, it would make sense to want to have a guy like Charles Bediako, but just everything that's gone on, it feels like let's just set it aside. It is what it is, and the reality of it is that from my perspective, the best versions of Alabama you saw at the beginning of the year when you got the wins over teams like Illinois, and now on a 6-game winning streak, we're without Charles Bediako. So I know it may sound weird to say, but I think this team is better without Charles Bediako there on the team. So I think this is the right call. I'm happy that this is the way it's going to go, and I'm sure this isn't the last we'll hear of it. But I think like a lot of Alabama people, I'm done with it. I'm ready to move on.
I imagine that
well.
Aiden Sherrill privately is probably ready to move on as well.
Yeah, and he's playing
some
quite
of those guys
well
on the team. Everybody's going to be a good teammate and say all the right things and reflect the comments of one Nate Oates and what he said about Charles Bediako since the onset. But, yeah, as far as team chemistry, everything you said about does that make the team better, maybe in certain situations. But I feel like Aiden Sherrill, he's played his best basketball after Charles Bediako left.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I guess Judge Pruitt didn't want to leave any drama to his decision because Bediako's attorneys filed it yesterday.
This is quick.
And then Pruitt decided, you know what, let's start Tuesday off on the right note. Let's go ahead and get this off my docket. No, I cannot have the restraining order.
And Judge Pruitt, I think, is doing the rest of that Alabama basketball program a service in not having that distraction and that cloud hanging over your team all week or the final 3 or 4 games of your regular season, wondering what his decision's going to be.
Well, we talked to Martin Newton a couple weeks ago, and he is the vice chair of the men's basketball selection committee, the Sanford AD, and he was very forthright in regards to how the committee would view Alabama moving forward and those wins that they had, which was 3. He went 3-2 with Bediako. And you can kind of probably breathe a little bit easier if you're on that committee now, not knowing that you're not going to have to deal with any more of this headache in regards to, well, do we need to consider, all right, they beat Tennessee on Rocky Top because they had Bediako as opposed to not having him, whatever the case may be. It's a lot more cleaner now in regards to Alabama in that room when you start looking at seeding.
Well, yeah, it is. And not that was ever going to be a huge factor, but that certainly clears things up. I just wonder from a legal standpoint, do we get another player somewhere else? This is a very unique situation with Charles Bediako that tries the same thing in another state and maybe gets a different result.
Yeah.
That will be fascinating. But, no, this was always going to be very specific and unique. and in my opinion was always more about the sport of football and college guys going to the pros and playing some form of that and then coming back and trying to recoup some of that eligibility.
Yeah, just think about Rick Barnes. First time he played Alabama, it was the week of the Tennessee game, and he's like, okay, now we got to get ready for another 7-footer. And this week, Alabama goes to Rocky Top, and now he doesn't have to prepare for another 7-footer. So it'll be pretty interesting coming up this weekend. We will talk to Nick Kelly from AL.com, covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. He'll join us at 10:30. We'll talk to him about the ongoing saga with Charles Bediako and kind of preview tomorrow night's game against Mississippi State and this weekend's matchup against Tennessee. But Auburn is on the hardwood tonight. That's an 8 o'clock tip-off here on Jocks. Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite on the road against Oklahoma. The Sooners are 13-14. They're 3-11 in the SEC. Auburn, this will constitute another Quad 1 game.
I know it, right?
Yeah.
Inside that 75?
Yeah, Auburn has played the most Quad 1 games in the country. They have played 15, and so they can add to that total tonight with a win there in Norman.
Yeah, this is not a good Oklahoma team. You go with the Oklahoma schedule. As much as I love Porter Moser after meeting him last year, all those consecutive losses in conference play, there's no way to really paint it another way. This is not a good team. You got to go. You got to handle your business on the road. Maybe you can afford one more loss, and that being to Alabama and Tuscaloosa. But you got to beat Oklahoma. You got to beat Ole Miss. You got to beat LSU. In my opinion.
No, you absolutely do, and especially after losing to Mississippi State, right? We had Rocco, and he said you need to go 3-1 in those games. Now you got Kentucky, so that gives you a little wiggle room. But yeah, you definitely want to win this one. And the only sour grapes part, and this is just college basketball how it works, right? Is it's a Quad 1 game. You beat Oklahoma, it might knock them into Quad 2, right? So by beating them in this game, it's just kind of funny that's how it works. But obviously a big opportunity to carry that momentum from Kentucky.
The Sooners lost 9 in a row, but they have won 2 of their last 4. They beat number 15 Vanderbilt and Georgia.
Yeah.
So
they're solid wins.
I mean, this is a dangerous team, especially in Norman. Nigel Peck, he leads the SEC and ranks 10th nationally in 3-point shooting. So got to pay attention. And Auburn, that's one area that Auburn is poor at, and that is guarding the outside 3-point shot.
Well, this is what you can't do. You can't get off to the start that you've gotten off to like you did in Starkville. You got to be able to defend the 3.
Don't let him score 35 in the first half.
Yeah,
there's
no reason.
And
I think Stephen Pearl, to a man, would tell you this. There's no reason to trust this Auburn basketball team. They've lacked consistency all year, and in this spot, 2.5, I think that's reflective of probably how the game's going to go. I don't really love this spot for Auburn and Stephen Pearl.
Yeah, because none of us thought that they would lose in Starkville.
No,
and they did. So need to pay very close attention tonight and be buttoned up against a Sooner team that
I'm
is
wrong.
looking for an upset at home. We will talk to Peter Rauterkus and get more of a preview of tonight's game from AL.com. Covers the Auburn Tigers coming up in about 10 minutes. We discussed this next topic on Pat Ponders a couple weeks ago. Remember when I asked you guys if you would be okay with a 4-point field goal from 60 yards out?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, we were all in favor of it.
Well, the UFL today made it official. That's right, folks.
Yes.
Here's some of the rule changes that are official in the press release. A 4-point field goal for attempts made from 60 yards and beyond. They have banned the tush push. Cannot do it. You can do it in the NFL, but you cannot do it in the UFL.
That's funny.
What about the rump bump?
I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, what if you just call it something?
But according to them, you can't do it. The UFL will also adopt 1 foot in bounds.
Yay. I like that.
Oh, so like college catch rules?
Yep.
Okay, I like that.
Yep.
Let's go arena football. Go catch it in the stands. Still count.
Well, there's a reason why those guys aren't in the league.
That's right.
So Bill Clark's podcast 2 weeks ago, I brought this up, and I said if I became the czar of college football, I would change that rule in the NFL.
Yes.
Because I think the NFL should be 1 foot in bounds. And
I want the if I was the czar of college football, the knee touching the ground, I want you to be down when another player.
yes.
Yeah, like you can get back up if no one touches
and
it. I like that. Yep.
That was one of the rules that I brought up to Coach Clark, and he was vehemently opposed to that.
Interesting.
He would be. Coach Clark.
Also, they have adopted no punts within the opponent's 50-yard line. So once you pass the 50-yard line, you cannot punt.
I like that.
I like that. All right. Yep, more aggressive.
Yep. And then there's a couple of other things that
Well, I guess at that point you're attempting the 60-point field goal for the 4 points. So okay.
Correct. So those are the 4 main rule changes that have been adopted by the UFL. So when you go to Protective Stadium and support the Stallions this year, don't be shocked about a 4-point field goal.
Holy Rapoli. That's a long field goal. Do we get it,
Very
though?
long field goal.
I feel like we've exported all of our great kickers to the NFL.
No,
They're full of kickers.
I mean, we've got 2 of the best in the NFL with Mevis and Brandon Aubrey.
Sure do.
Let's get the next one ready to go.
Is Janikowski still alive?
I think he is.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah. I think
Get him
he
and
is.
Vinatieri to come back, see if they can still do it.
Yeah, I think he is. Congratulations to your Braves. They made news this morning. You excited? You pumped?
What news are you talking about?
Well, I mean, you got the TV front, but I'm talking about Chris Sale.
Yeah, Chris Sale.
Yeah. 1 year, $27 million contract extension with a $30 million club option for 2028.
Very nice. How old
Hopefully
is
we'll
he?
have a season next year while we're paying him.
We're not. We're not going to have a season
I
next
feel
year.
like that was really optimistic
There's no
by
way.
Anthopoulos and the crew. I love having Chris Sale around. It was unfortunate that he had the rib injury. Not that it really mattered during last season's dreadful year, but no, he has been really, really consistent, and he is nasty when he is on. So yeah, that's good. You know, crazy. Even with the injury history, that's probably the Braves pitcher I feel the best about, health wise and performance wise.
But he's had injury problems in the past and been able to come back and be dominant. So
no, I like Chris Sale. I think he's good for Atlanta, and I feel bad for his wife. They do cutaway shots off into the stands when he's pitching, and his wife is having to wrangle in his 2 boys. There was one broadcast last year where we were feeling so sorry for his wife because his little boys, they were hitting each other, they were hitting her. This was about the 7th inning, and they did a shot of her, and she was done.
All right, so basically you're saying that the Sale kids are like the Kachuk brothers.
Yes, that's exactly what they remind me of, little Kachucks.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
amazing. The other Braves news, and all these teams, including the Cardinals, have been trying to work out their distribution for television. And, my mom and dad have been asking me every day, what's going on? When are we going to, how are we going to be able to watch the Braves? Things of that nature. And so this morning they announced Braves Vision. Now, what that is that they're going to continue to distribute through Gray Television. And here locally in Birmingham, that is WBRC Channel 6, the Fox affiliate. So if you go to their 6.3 digital channel, that's where you're going to pick it up. Our listeners up in Huntsville, you're going to be able to watch it on WAFF. That is 38.3 digitally. Meanwhile, in Montgomery, WSFA 12.3. Down in Mobile, WALA 10.6. So those are the digital channels that you can watch the Braves. I understand that the Braves are also in negotiations with different cable and distributors out there to try to put this Braves Vision on a specific channel, like maybe on your cable or whatever service you have. Like I have DirecTV, so obviously they would have to work out a deal with DirecTV for me to be able to watch Braves Vision, because I do not, on my DirecTV, get the local digital channels from our affiliates. Like I only get the main channel.
Do you have one of the antennas that you
I do have in my office. I have a digital antenna where I can get all of those channels. So they're trying to work things out.
There was a rumor that was out there, and maybe just a rumor. I had heard Apple TV potentially could have been a home for one of these places, but this seems like this is going another direction.
Yeah, it is. Basically, they're just trying to, just like when the SEC Network launched, you have to go and get distribution deals with cable outlets, DirecTV, YouTube TV, Apple, all these different people that you can get your television services now.
Well, they hold all the power because I do have YouTube TV, but if it's a matter of like I had to do with a Bally subscription and I had to split it up, I didn't want to go with Fubo the whole year because I like a lot of the benefits and the features that YouTube TV has, but I had to split it up. Hopefully that's not the case, and they find out. What is the line share as far as streaming? DirecTV, are they still number one, and where would YouTube TV be in respect to that? Probably in the top 3.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt. I mean, YouTube TV is right up there as one of the top distributors. So they're going to get it worked out.
I'm at your mercy, Braves. I will pay whatever monthly subscription you're wanting me to pay.
I mean, you will have access, and nobody will miss a game. So it's just them trying to figure out, especially
You're going to make sure your parents are set up and ready to go.
I've already sent them the press release.
Okay.
I've already sent them the map.
All right, good.
So here you go.
We got to look after all the Pat's relatives who are Braves fans.
Yes. There's a bunch of them.
What about your sister? She's a Braves fan?
No, she's a Cardinals fan.
She's Cardinals?
Yep. Me and her were the last of the Mohicans. Everybody else in the family, they have converted to Braves Nation or whatever you call your fans.
Well, as far as a family pulling for two different franchises, those are two solid ones.
Yeah.
It's not like having a Yankee in your family.
Well, I mean, it's
Well,
and not to mention the fact that we don't play each other a lot, so it's really not that big of a deal. We play each other 6 times a year.
We exchange broadcasters.
Yeah, that's right. All right, when we come back on Three-Man Front, we'll talk to Peter Rauterkus from AL.com. Big game tonight for the Auburn Tigers. Can they keep the momentum going? They have lost 3 games in a row on the road, Auburn has, so they need to stop that losing streak as they stop their longer losing streak overall this last weekend against Kentucky. All that straight ahead. We're live from Social Taco on Jocks.
Welcome back in. Three-Man Front live from Social Taco. The door's going to open at 11 o'clock. It's a Mix and Match Taco Tuesday. Not only that, the Mexican pizzas all the great fare. SocialTaco.bar for more information. Always tell you storm season is approaching here in the Deep South and the state of Alabama. No Toe Roofing, that is a family-owned and operated business, and guys you can trust. The owners are Sammy and Matt Noto. I've known these guys for a long time, and take it from me, you can definitely trust their work, how they're going to deal with you, how you expected to be treated. They're going to work alongside your insurance company if you need them to assist in the claims process. And Chris, one of their talented professionals, he knows roofing. He's going to come to your house like he's going to come to my house. He's going to walk the roof and be very honest and open about what he finds, what he doesn't find. He's not going to recommend something you don't need. They offer free inspections to all Jocks listeners, financing to help with the payments if you need help with that as well. It's No-Toe Roofing, N-O-T-O, N-O-T-O roofing.com, or give them a call, 205-848-2299. Always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
Joining us down the Higginbotham hotline, he covers the Auburn Tigers for AL.com. Peter Rauterkus joins us here on Three-Man Front. Peter, got that monkey off the back against Kentucky over the weekend at Neville, but, man, this is a big one at Oklahoma coming up tonight.
Yeah, another huge game, another quad one opportunity. You know, it what feels like a gettable quad one opportunity. You know, it's a road game, but Oklahoma is a team that struggled in SEC play. They're near the bottom of the SEC standings, so a huge one to give Auburn a little bit more breathing room as they've kind of played their way under the bubble these past few weeks.
Peter, this has been an Auburn team that has been really, really tough to figure out. I know that you're probably in the same camp. It looks at times dysfunctional, whether it's the play on the floor or maybe some of the personalities on that team, and a lot of new faces assembled for the first time in this season. What have you been able to gather? You watch them, you cover them more than any of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that is true. I think it was always going to be difficult given the circumstances of this team. This is, like you said, a group of all new players apart from Dahad Pettiford. It's a group of players who signed to play for a coach that then retired right before the season started. So it's a lot that happened going into this season. I think on the court, you know, the biggest thing, especially in SEC plays, there's been a lot of issues on defense. You know, we've seen that in a lot of their losses recently. I think Mississippi State might have been the best example where Josh Hubbard goes for 46. We saw that against Alabama. We've seen that in a few games. So put all of that together, and I think that's led to some of the struggles. But I think we've also seen in games like, I mean, Kentucky, they didn't play amazing, but they won. But Arkansas at home, you know, beating Florida on the road. We've seen it come together for this team where you think, okay, the ceiling might be really high, but I think we've also seen that the floor is really low.
So I wanted to ask you, Peter, about Keyshawn Murphy and kind of how his role maybe has expanded, particularly on the offensive side, it feels like, because, I mean, you look at two of his last three, had 22 and 12 against Arkansas, 25 and 10 against Kentucky. Probably his two best games of the year have come in the last couple of weeks for Auburn. So do you expect that to kind of continue? Because he seems like a big piece here if Auburn wants to get hot towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the plan when he signed with Auburn was always for him to have a bigger role. I think especially earlier in the season, injuries kind of slowed him down. He missed a little bit of time, and then he was playing through a lot early in the year. I think now he's really started to get healthy. And, yeah, I think the Kentucky game for sure, you know, he was upset about how the Mississippi State game went. He didn't play very well in that game, and that was his return to his old school. And he comes back into Kentucky and really was the main reason why Auburn won that game, you know, with what he was able to do. So I think, yeah, he's going to continue to be big for them. And he's also, you know, even though he's new, he's experienced, and he's really been one of the biggest leaders for this team as well.
Peter, when you look at this Auburn team currently, right now, and I know it changes on a daily basis, but in regards to the pecking order and making the NCAA tournament from the SEC, after the Kentucky win, do you believe that Auburn's pretty safe right now, even if, let's say, they drop a couple more before the end of the regular season?
That's tough. I mean, I think if the tournament started Selection Sunday was today, I think Auburn would be in. Now, I think this next stretch is crucial, though. I mean, you beat Oklahoma, you get some breathing room. You definitely cannot afford to lose to LSU or Ole Miss at home because those would both be quad 3 losses, I believe. And then, obviously, I think if you beat Oklahoma and Alabama, you feel really good. Beating Alabama on the road is going to be very tough, though. I think if you beat Oklahoma and then you win, you take care of business at home in the next 2 games, I think then you also feel very good. But then let's say you lose to Oklahoma and then maybe you drop one to LSU or Ole Miss, then things get a little tricky, and I think that Alabama game almost turns into a must-win. So still a lot of work to do in these next few games.
Peter, we know that there's going to be roster turnover like there is with most college basketball teams and for that matter, college football teams this day and age. But as far as that coaching staff, that core that has been together, they were there for the great runs that Bruce's teams had. What is the expectation about retention and that staff staying together past this season?
Yeah, I think that would be the goal for this staff. I mean, like you mentioned it, this is by and large the same staff that had been around not only for the Final Four run last year, but for most of the success that had happened under Bruce Pearl. I mean, just like I said earlier, I think, the big thing with this season is all the stuff that happened before and during the offseason. And I think that's what everyone inside and around the program believes. And I think that they'll all get a chance at the very least, next year and going forward to see, okay, what can you guys prove in a normal offseason? I think there's going to be a lot of, in terms of the roster, I think there's going to be a lot of players who will, there's going to be players who will leave, there's going to be players who will be replaced, but I think there will be more that stay from this roster than we saw from last roster. So I don't expect to see any large changes this offseason.
Peter Rauterkus from AL.com covers the Auburn Tigers, joining us here on Three-Man Front. All right, Peter, so I know it's hard to project it out, but kind of following up with the NCAA tournament talk and how comfortable Auburn could be. Just right now, I saw a projection yesterday, a 10-seed Auburn taking on a 7-seed Villanova in the first round, something like that. Right now, what do you think the realistic ceiling is for this Auburn team if they make the NCAA tournament? Is it Sweet 16? Is that a stretch, or do you think that if they get hot, maybe it's even a little further than that? Where are you right now?
Yeah, it's tough to say, because I think the tournament really comes down to matchups more than it comes down to seeding. You could be a 10 seed, but then get a really good matchup with a 7 seed and then get a 2 seed that's beatable for you. I mean, this is an Auburn team that went and beat Florida. I don't want to say easily on the road, and Florida will be a team that will be a likely 2 seed. Now, I'm not saying that would happen again next year if they played in the tournament, but you've seen that happen. So I think it depends more on the matchup than the seeding or how Auburn is playing. But I think this team has shown that they can beat really good teams. I mean, they've beaten Florida, they've beaten St. John's, they've beaten Arkansas by 20. That's what's so tough about the team. It's hard to say what the ceiling is when you've seen those things. But on the same token, they could match up against a team that runs really good offense and hits a lot of threes, and they could get bounced in the first round. So, it's hard to project.
Peter, I want to pivot to football quickly. March 17th will be Alex Golish's first practice as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. Just comparing and contrasting, I guess, last year under Hugh Freeze as they're going into the potential in a few weeks of spring ball, and now looking at Alex Golish and his staff. Is there much difference in regards to, I guess, just kind of the interaction between those coaches and those that cover Auburn?
I mean, I think whenever there's a new staff, a new coach coming in, and it's his first season, his first off season, it's always different. It's always more going to be a, getting to know people vibe. And I think that's been the case with Alex Golish. He's, made his rounds, going to different events around the state. We've talked to him a few times. I've had a handful of interactions with him. It was definitely different. I mean, Hugh Freeze last year was different. He'd been here a couple of years. He kind of already knew everybody. And also there was a lot of pressure because he knew going into that season that, his job could be on the line. And obviously he did end up getting fired. So it definitely feels a lot different than last year.
When you look, Peter, at this staff and how they're dealing directly, we've heard a little bit about Alex Golish and kind of the no-nonsense, and he likes to do things himself. What are some of the other characteristics of this staff that you've noticed after the first few months?
I think they're definitely putting an emphasis on recruiting and getting out around the state and getting to know people, which is something that I think Hugh Freeze and his staff did a decent enough job of. I think obviously the staff before Hugh Freeze failed in that regard. I think the biggest example of that, with Golish's staff is, when they had the high school coaches convention in Montgomery a few weeks ago, and not just Alex Golish, came when it was his day to speak, but Auburn's entire coaching staff was there. And I think they were the only, entire staff to show up for that event. So, and I think this is a lot to these coaches. And, these are the coaches that, Golish and the staff are going to be recruiting kids from at the high school level. So I think things like that, have stood up to me. Everything seems very intentional, very process-oriented. But you see that with a lot of coaches in the beginning. But I think just the way that they've gotten out in the community and been very intentional about the way they recruit has stood out.
That is Peter Rauterkus, covers the Auburn Tigers for AL.com. Peter, always great to catch up. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks, Peter.
Yep,
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, NHR Services.
Well, flu season is here, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go and find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
We got a Iron Bowl battle of the beat writers. Peter Rauterkus from Auburn coming up next. Our buddy Nick Kelly covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. All of that as we continue live on a beautiful yet cold day in Homewood and probably where you are. Social Taco here on Jocks.
Well, the big story yesterday around college athletics was Charles Bediako, the story that just will not go away as he has filed an appeal to the Alabama Supreme Court. But in the meanwhile, he was looking for an injunction which would allow him to be able to play. Well, we got news this morning that that was not going to happen as Judge Daniel Pruitt ruled against Charles Bediako. So that means that the case will continue on in regards to the Alabama Supreme Court, but he cannot play based on the fact that he did not get that TRO. And joining us now, Nick Kelly, who I watch on the People's Court sometimes and gives me all my legal wranglings, the do's and don'ts. He joins us now on Three-Man
He's like
Front.
a regular Doug Llewellyn.
Yes, he is. I'm sure Nick doesn't even know who Doug Llewellyn is.
Conrad is acting like he does, but it's from the People's Court.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but you're right. I did act like I knew.
Nick,
Look,
how's the law degree coming along?
I was going to brag and say that I've watched a lot of Judge Judy reruns, so I'm set, frankly, for this kind of coverage.
Well, Llewellyn,
I'm
he
just
was
kidding.
with Wapner, right?
Yes, he was the court
I'm Doug
reporter.
Llewellyn. It's the case of the babysitter who never got paid.
That's basically what it was. Every
That's
time.
what it was. Just petty
We need
court
more of
cases. Yeah.
Yeah. Just your thoughts on, man, this was a quick decision.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he'd take too long because he's familiar with the case. It wasn't just filed, and he's heard from these attorneys. He's heard the facts of the case, and yeah, I kind of figured Judge Pruitt would rule relatively quickly. I mean, it was about a day, so it wasn't he saw it and said nope, but gave it some thought, came back with it this morning, and got that ruling, so it didn't shock me how fast it was.
Pat threw out a theory yesterday, and it sounded really good to me, and it's the one that I'm going to buy into. What do you think about this, Nick? Bediako, his camp, they had a good expectation that they were going to get the ruling that Judge Pruitt just gave again in not granting the temporary injunction. So do you believe ultimately they're trying to exhaust all the resources they can here at this level where they can go and maybe prepare a suit and sue the NCAA for something bigger?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I would say that, yeah, it does seem that they're trying to exhaust what they can to try to get him back on the court. I mean, that's past anything, or more than anything, is what this is about, is, hey, can they get him back on the court? And they'll use any legal means necessary to do that. And so they're exhausting their options. I don't blame Charles or I don't blame his team for doing that, because why not? I mean, at this point he can't play, so it's worth trying the different mechanisms you have to allow him to play, because by their argument, they believe that Charles Bediako is still within his 5-year window to play college athletics. But that ends at the end of this season. Now, there was some dispute as to what his true window is between the NCAA's attorneys and Charles Bediako's attorneys, but by Charles Bediako's attorneys, he's still within the 5 years, and they were not trying to get him to play past this season. That was their whole point, is, hey, they need this relief, and they need him to be able to play now, because you can't go back and get him back in that 5-year window. Like, yeah, if he wins the case long term, he could still get some damages, he could still get some money. I mean, just there are different ways to remedy that, but he can't go play again because he'd be outside his window, is what his team has been arguing. And so that's why they made this move. I don't blame them for trying to make it, because you can get other things back, and you can't get a chance to play college basketball back again.
So now that it looks like this team will be without Bediako for the remainder of the season, as I think many of us expected for the last couple of weeks now, I still feel weird saying this, Nick, but is it crazy to think that maybe Alabama's better off without Charles Bediako? I mean, I know obviously what he brings to the court and size and all of that, but you just look at, I mean, when they played their best basketball early in the season, and now right now in this winning streak, it's been without him.
Yeah, I think you can make the argument. I don't know if it's a simple yes or no. I think this is how I view it. They had Charles Bediako for some of their toughest SEC games. They had him against Florida. They had him against Tennessee. And, yeah, it makes sense that Alabama was not as good analytically in those games because the level of competition was higher. But there probably is something to be said at the same time for, hey, when Charles Bediako is playing, there is added scrutiny. There is added booing. There's added animosity that you're facing by him being on the court. And, yeah, you can maybe be skilled enough to not be drawn to that, not fall for it, or not let that impact you too much. But these guys are human beings. I mean, they obviously know what's going on. And so I think distraction, you could label it that if you wanted. It might be a strong word, but certainly something that you're cognizant of if you're on the team. And so I don't think it's about that Charles personally is a distraction. I think everyone who talks about Charles talks about him well, and they like Charles. I mean, I think he's a very likable guy, which is kind of why it's been funny that he's been painted such a villain, because I think he's a very friendly, likable guy. You talk to anyone in that building in the athletic department, they like him a lot. So I don't know that he personally is a distraction, but yeah, I think that him being on the court certainly impacts what's going through your mind or what you're dealing with on the road specifically. So you could argue that without him, they don't have that distraction per se, and they can maybe play a bit more free and maybe a little less tight. But I will say, from a basketball standpoint, yeah, it helps when he's on the court or it helps when they have him on the team, because they just don't have much depth in their front court. I mean, they don't have many big men that they can count on outside of Aiden Sherrill. So yeah, I think just purely based on that, he would help the team. And so there's a lot. I rambled a bit there, but there's a lot to unpack about in terms of yes or no. Is it more helpful or more hurtful to have him? Because I don't think it's a simple answer.
Nick Kelly joining us for a few more minutes from AL.com, covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. Mississippi State is the next opponent, and then a big one in Rocky Top. Now, this Mississippi State team, they showed against Auburn, especially when Hubbard is on fire. It's a team you got to pay very close attention to. I know Alabama's already knocked off Mississippi State once this year, but just talk about this week in Alabama basketball, because these are two different teams that Alabama's going to have to face. But needless to say, this time of the year, every single game is a big one.
Yeah, you can't let up, because if you do, a guy like Hubbard could go off. I mean, he had, 46 points against Auburn?
Yeah.
I mean, he's capable of some big things. Now, Alabama's very familiar with him. They've faced him multiple times. They kept him to 23 points in Starkville. So, yeah, you got to be mindful of him. But Alabama has good guard play. It is important that those guards play well defensively. I think LeBaron and Philon playing well defensively is key. But as long as they take care of business, they don't overlook Mississippi State, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll do fine. But, yeah, this time of year, it really is key that you don't look ahead too much and that you do make sure you still focus on each game, because, I mean, heck, we're all looking ahead as media members to the SEC tournament, March Madness, and players just can't afford to do that because SEC teams are too good and have too much depth that you just can't overlook any of them, because if you do, you'll wind up with a loss.
Hanging out with our friend Nick Kelly, covers the Alabama Crimson Tide for AL.com, and joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I do want to look ahead. I want to look ahead to spring football, spring training. What is the most compelling storyline for you, Nick, as you look ahead to what we're going to see in the coming months?
The kicker battle. That's what I'm watching.
That's what I was hoping you would say.
Yes.
Lorcan Quinn, the pride of Ireland.
Yes.
No, I mean, so I half joke. I am kind of excited to see what happens there, because who doesn't love a kicker battle? I feel like NFL training camps are really good for those, especially. But no, the quarterback battle is all what it's about, because this team has so much just new to it, and there's a lot of potential on it, but a lot of unproven potential. And I think that when you don't know what you're going to get for a lot of spots, and you have a lot of young guys or you have a lot of inexperienced guys, you need good quarterback play. Good quarterback play can cover up for a lot of things. I mean, look at this past season where the offensive line was inconsistent. You didn't have a running game. But yet, that period in October where the offense was doing really well, Ty Simpson was on fire. And, I mean, that's what good quarterback play can do for you. So whoever wins that battle at quarterback, you need him to be good. And that's the battle I'm watching. I mean, it's fascinating because you have one guy in Keelan Russell who I think has the talent edge. I mean, he's a special talent. And then you have another guy in Austin Mack who probably has an edge in how well he knows the system, because he's been with it for years. I mean, and he knows Grubb well, he knows DeBoer well. So these are two guys that I think have legitimate shots to win it. And at this point, I'm still trying to figure out who I think wins it, because I think they both have a good shot at it. And we'll see what happens, and that'll be something we'll monitor all spring, all summer probably. And not only once it is done, a guys decide to start that first game, we're going to have to probably watch it moving forward into the season, because Alabama needs good quarterback play for what could be a team that just needs time to get used to playing together and playing college football together.
Speaking of quarterbacks, the now former Alabama quarterback you mentioned there, Ty Simpson. We're about 2 months away from the NFL draft. I know Mel Kiper, he put out his latest mock today. He had Ty Simpson going to the Steelers at pick 21. The Steelers seem to be a very, very popular landing spot amongst all these mock drafters. So what do you think about the fit there, Nick? Do you think that would be a good landing spot for Ty, somewhere in the back half of the first round to go to Pittsburgh?
Well, it's funny you're asking me that because I'm actually a Steelers fan.
Oh, well, there you go. So you would love it, probably.
Wait a second. How did a guy growing up in Minnesota not be a Vikings fan and a Steelers fan?
I have a reason. And it actually has a tie to Alabama to an extent.
Your affinity to steel.
Sure. That's reason 2.
Okay.
Reason 1, my dad's family is from Western Pennsylvania, and my grandpa grew up in a place called Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Joe
Namath.
Hometown of Joe Namath. He actually went to high school with Joe Namath. So.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Were they running buddies? I got to hear stories.
Well, they weren't. I think Joe is a couple years older than him, but they were on a couple. I think they were on the baseball team together, and I don't know. So I think Joe Namath, and this some of it's just like secondhand stories, but I believe his brother was my grandfather's football coach at one point. But love my grandpa, but he wasn't quite at Joe Namath's level of athleticism. So he wasn't exactly like his receiver or something like that.
Oh.
Joe Namath, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
You remember when he was on an episode of the Brady Bunch?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was he on Gilligan's Island too?
That was a famous Brady Bunch where remember the pass and it broke or didn't break Marsha's nose, but remember it hit her nose.
It sure did.
Yeah, it swelled up.
Oh,
yeah. Of course, Nick and Conrad have no idea what we're talking about with the Brady Bunch.
They had a dog. His name was Tiger.
Yeah, Tiger.
I've heard of it.
They had AstroTurf in their backyard.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was really cool.
I did too.
I wanted the AstroTurf in my backyard.
Yeah,
because I didn't have to cut it.
Well, that was Mike's position. He didn't want to have to cut it.
Yeah.
He was busy designing buildings. All right, Nick. Well, we always appreciate the time, and thanks for all the work that you do, and we learn things from you.
I'm glad I can provide that. But I'm realizing that I didn't answer Conrad's question. I just
You
started
didn't.
talking about my family history. But I think he's a good fit, especially if the Steelers can bring in or keep Aaron Rodgers or bring in another veteran guy to kind of be a stopgap guy, let Ty develop.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd be a really good fit.
Well, Kirk Cousins is going to be available here in a few days. He is.
I don't know if that's the answer, but
Okay.
hey, but the Steelers have been in quarterback kind of Narnia, just wandering about for since they had Ben Roethlisberger. So
Yes.
I wouldn't, I guess, rule out anything. at this
Ty
point.
Simpson is your Mr. Tumnus. I promise you, Nick. It's going to happen.
There we go. There's a good Chronicles of Narnia reference right there.
Yeah,
So,
see, we can do Narnia and they can do the Brady Bunch or whatever they're talking about.
There you go. I'll just talk to you next time, Conrad.
Or try.
Well, we can arrange that.
yes, we can. Hope you get up early.
That's right.
@ Nick Kelly there on Twitter, the X. You can find his work at al.com. Nick, we always appreciate the time. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You as well. Nick Kelly and all of our guests joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline.
Right now at Courtesy GMC in Trustful, there's over 50 2026 GMC Sierras on the ground, and you can save up to $12,000 off MSRP on all trim levels you choose from. Courtesy's also extended that $399 lease and sign and drive on the 2026 Canyon Elevations in stock. How about a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty on all new GMCs that you purchase there at Courtesy GMC? You can check out all the makes and models on certified pre-owned vehicles. The extended pre-owned inventory is available there on their 9.5-acre lot. Get by and see them off of I-459, exit 32 in Trustful, or you can shop online at courtesybirmingham.com. And if you're also looking to sell your vehicle, it's a great time because Courtesy is looking for pre-owned inventory to acquire. Just stop by Courtesy there on Edwards Lake Road. They'll give you a buy bid within 10 minutes. It's that simple. Come by and see Josh Gargis, Drew Lawley, and the fantastic team there at Courtesy GMC in Trustful.
Some of the takeaways what Nick Kelly just told us, we will get to those as we continue live from Social Taco here in Homewood on Jocks.
It is 10:52. Welcome back. We're live at Social Taco. Pretty impressive. We've already got 6 to 7 folks already up here, and the doors haven't even opened yet. That's pretty good, right?
That's great. We've got our buddy Howard. He is here. He's rearranged his work schedule. He's a mainstay and a regular here at Social Taco. Joe has arrived as well. Sweet Mary, golly, how's she dealing with all these people that we love so much?
She's patient.
BB will be here later.
She will.
FSU Dave
balances things out.
Bunch of our
FSU
regulars.
Dave, he's an American, but toting I guess a half L. I want to get his thoughts.
No. I
Well,
will
it's a whole L because it's women's and men's hockey, right?
I can tell you he was all in on the
Really
good old
pumped.
red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
No, he was all about it.
Apparently, you saw the nightclub last night in Miami? How
Singing
cool of
the
a scene
national
was
anthem.
that?
Yeah.
Had the team going in there
How much
singing
did
it.
you tell me that the bar went through money-wise on the champagne?
Reported $150,000.
Just in champagne.
2 songs. It was the national anthem and then the Toby Keith, courtesy of the red, white, and blue. And $150,000. But everybody singing together. It was great.
This is a serious question. How much of the gold medal game did you watch Sunday morning, Conrad?
None. I was busy.
Oh, wrong answer.
What?
If
You could have lied to us. You could have lied to the audience.
Yeah, I'm
because
honest. I'm honest.
You'd rather be honest than an American.
All
I
right,
kind of had a major life event going on this weekend
need
that
you to
took up
be-
all of my time.
Now, hold on a second.
Now,
Hold
I
on a
did
second.
get to watch Auburn and Alabama
So
basketball.
you
on
were
Saturday.
you were moving things
See-
at 7 a.m. Sunday morning.
I was deep cleaning my old house so that I can get my security deposit back on my old house that I'm moving out of, or I moved out of.
Is deep cleaning your old house, is that code for you finally took a shower?
I did finally take a shower in my new home yesterday, or a good shower for the first time. No, we know that's not true because we know what I have a tendency to do in the shower.
Have you done
It'd
that
be
yet
weird
in
if I
the new
did that
house?
without that. Yeah, the first time.
You say, Paige, come here. I'm doing it.
I had to christen it.
So weird. How's the pool?
Covered up and drained.
Can we get back to the fact that he did not watch one of the most incredible hockey games in the
Because he
history
was
of this
deep
country?
cleaning at 7 a.m. on
Yeah.
Sunday after 2 days of moving, Pat. I am calling B with a capital S.
I've been working hard. I've been putting in work.
Working hard coming up with that story because you knew we were going to ask you that question.
I could have lied.
Hey, Conrad, we beat the Canadians in women's and men's.
I saw the last goal. It was cool.